Hello everybody. It is Monday, the 6th of March. Couple of things I want to talk about today. First of all, really give meanings to things that I've heard, thoughts that came into my head persistently, that need to be put into context, that need to have meaning. And one thought that just is not going away is that there's a storm coming. It's just continuously there. So what is that storm that is coming? And I think the storm is this awakening, the spiritual awakening that we are in. That is the storm. And how to weather the storm, how to get through the storm. That is the question. The other thing I heard, and that is really, I shot up quite a while ago, at about 3 o'clock in the morning, bolt upright, with the thought, they are blinded by their own light. They are blinded by their own greatness, or what they perceive as their greatness. And they do not see what is actually going on. Now, this spiritual awakening is that we gain a greater understanding of the all, of what this is, of what we are, what the all is. And to me, what we have as gross matter, or what is explained to us as gross matter, is the all in a different form, but the form is not separated. There is no separation between the picture and the energy that is creating the picture, the energy that we're reading. It is our interpretation, but there is actually no separation from the greater reality. So what is gross matter is that which is known, but it is still contained with all, and it is still a part of all. It has not fallen out of it or is outside of it. There is nothing outside of it. It is all. There is no fall. So what is gross matter is what we know. It's our knowing of it. And the world that it has created. But if we go into greater awareness now, and that is really opening ourselves up to other possibilities, to the really realization that all possibilities are around us, and that we can bring them to earth, we can make them a reality by knowing them. And that is really asking, let it be, let there be, and knowing that it is so. But, yes, but, if we are at the moment staring at all possibilities, I was reminded this morning of the stories here in Britain of Doctor Who, where the Time Lords, the young Time Lords, are being taken to stare into the void of time and space. And some of them go insane. And there is really the question, if you were suddenly faced, not thinking about it, not out there in theory, but real, knowing it, all possibilities, you are staring into the void of all. Would you stay sane? Would you know what to do? Or would you be swept away by it? Would it blow you away, quite literally? So what is it we do? Because I think that is a possibility that is coming up. And we are woefully unprepared for it. And it is really, the unpreparedness is through the wrong thinking that was taught, and I don't know where it started. I mean, I can see it in the Hermetic teaching that I was just started to read. It's definitely there, the separation. Yeah? And everything here is gross and is nothing, and everything out there is greatness. Yeah? And there's a clear separation, and there the thought comes that we must get out of this. You know, that to become pure light is just what the meaning of it all is. You know, that is the intention. We should become pure light. Now, another thought that needs a meaning that came to me, and it was like a choice, two ways. And there was the teacher, and then there was the earth worker, the light worker on earth. And I think many are going the way, and that is the way of becoming a pure light being. It's the way of the teacher. They think if they are attached. Now, if it is with good intentions, and I'm not saying they're all void of good intentions, some of them might have that. That is to say, to go above in order to serve, you know, to give to those below. But others may have been driven into this path as they blinded by their own light, driven by pride, by vanity. You know, this thing of greatness. I am great, I am above everybody else, and I should go further and further and further and further. I should just detach myself from this and go further and further out. Knowledge building on knowledge. No longer attached to a reality where it should serve, where it should build something, but just building on its own, theory on theory on theory. Until you're that far out, even if you wanted to serve, you couldn't do it anymore because you're that detached from reality that you can't give to it anymore. But even those that are with the best intentions are going just above. But out of this world, out of the physical body. Now, we know in this world, we know it in this world, and it is, as I said, it's not detached. It is as below, so above. It is the same thing. We know in this world, and again, that is playing itself out right now. This thought of, you know, going above the storm, above the crowds, above, you know, detached, even in, you know, with the will to serve. We know in this world that those that are now detached, that are basically living on a different planet, even though still in this world and in the flesh, but pretty much on a different planet, they can no longer serve. Because you cannot give to that which you do not know. I mean, you may attempt to, but chances are you're going to kill it. Because you're given the wrong thing, because you are detached from what they are. And that is what we can see in this world at the moment, those that have elevated themselves. I mean, most of them, yeah, it's greed, you know. It's greed, or it's pride, or it's vanity, you know, for myself. But even those that might have good intention can no longer serve, because they no longer know that which they are supposed to be serving. And then it really is the case, the further out you go, the less you can do it. And then if you are this brilliant, pure energy being that is no more attached to any matter whatsoever. And you're sitting there with the fullness of your knowledge, you've driven it out as far as you can. And then the question of what is the meaning of my existence may well arise, because it has nothing that it can serve. It exists for its own purpose. And knowledge was given to serve. That is what gives meaning to the knowledge, that it creates something. And then that is what gives meaning to your life, that your knowledge should create something. But, in this teaching of the separation of gross matter and the light beings are just the bee's knees out there, people are being driven onto the wrong path. And now this thought seems to be everywhere. We must get the hell out of here. Get above the storm. Become a light being. So what would anchor you in the storm of the void, of all? And that is what creates matter, and that is a restriction. A restricting force, and that would be a desire that is attached to this world. Something it should work here. A knowledge that you are being given that should work here. And that is not all knowledge, but something specific. And with that you would create a restriction that might see you through the storm. Focus on that. Get out of all, but focus on that. And the other thing is really love. Love will keep you safe. And that is honor your father and mother. Love this world. The love for the forms of this world and wanting to receive a knowledge that would serve them. Love your mother and father. That is the material form, the restricting force that created the material form. Love that. Love the restriction. Don't see it as something that is holding you back or, imprisoning you. But it gives you the chance to create. So love that and love your father, which is the essence, the thought, the desire that created this form in the first place. And as I said before, you see it in nature. You can see the intention of the Father in nature when you see different forms on different level of consciousness with different needs and different desires continuously given to one another, living with each other in balance to create a self-sustaining whole. That is the essence of the Father. That was his desire. So honor that. And honor it in its form, which is mother. And then the love for that will keep you grounded. And the knowledge that you are not all, but to do something specific will hopefully cause a restriction that will see you through the storm, through being blown away by all. Now, as I said, this wrong teaching of the separation of matter and the energy that creates it. Oh no, let me say one more thing, and that is, there will be those now that will say to me, this is nonsense. Yeah? This is fantasy. What this really speaks about, quite possibly the pole shift. Yeah? when the magnetosphere goes down and we get fried, because we are exposed to all. Again, then you make a separation between the spiritual and the material outcome, the form that it will take. And again, there may not be a separation. What I've just spoken about, this happening of the knowledge of all, in this world, according to the story, could take the form, the physical form of a pole shift, but they're not separated from each other. One is the thought, the other is the form, and they are one. Only if you look at it from a spiritual point of view, because if you only think pole shift, only think material, then what do? Dig yourself a hole and get a bunker and go underground until it's over. Because that would be the materialistic way of saving yourself from that. But if you were to think about it from the spiritual point of view, then there may be a way you can protect yourself from it by going inside of yourself, by concentrating your thoughts on just one possibility. And that becomes your arc that will take you through. Something you want to serve, something you love. And that might take you through. You will receive some of it, but not enough to fry you. So that might be the spiritual way of getting through the storm, while staying attached to reality and not being blown away. Now, the last thing, and that's in my headline today, it's Purim today, tonight, until tomorrow night, which is the feast, or it's the remembrance of the story of Queen Esther. Now, in the story of Queen Esther, somebody made a plan to kill off all the Jews that were in that kingdom that she was queen of Persia. And a decree was made, but the king was deceived, but a decree was made that all Jews should be killed. And it was made by those that wanted power and wanted to get rid of the competition, so to speak. Now, in the end, the decree itself could not be revoked. But what Queen Esther achieved, was given from her husband, was that the Jews would be given the ability to defend themselves. That they would not be helpless, but the ability to defend themselves. And then those that falsely had created that decree were hung on their own gallows. The gallows that they had put up for the Jews, they were hung on that themselves. And for a long time I thought that teaching had a great significance in this time. And here is that those that maybe really with malicious intent started teaching the separation of matter and energy, whilst knowing themselves, because that is actually in the Hermetic teachings, that they are one. But knowing that themselves, but putting out the teaching of that they are separate, with the intention that they should become, gain the greater knowledge, whilst everybody else would be trapped in matter, imprisoned, without the knowledge that they could reach outside of that. But if they have gone that way now, of opening themselves up to all, then they are the ones now that will be hung on their own gallows. And I wonder if they are building underground bunkers now to get into. Have they realized that? Have they realized that? Have they realized that they've gone wrong? That they would be far too open now? That they would be fried if they would stand out in that storm as they are? Is that why they're hiding in the mountains now? But again, there are a lot of us now that are still going the way of the awakening, not knowing what we're doing. And then, as I said, the thing itself may not be able to be stopped anymore. It will happen. But then the people should be given a way of defending themselves, a knowledge that would save them, with which they can defend themselves against the coming storm. And to me, that knowledge is cause a restriction in yourself. Become your own restricting force. Grow up and restrict yourself. And that is by focusing on something and not on all. Anyway, I think I leave it at that for today. If you think this is helpful, please share my videos. I might be wrong, but yeah, I think it should be at least in the consideration of the overall conversation. So please share my videos. And if you want to help me, please donate to my channel. There's a donate button on my homepage, and if you go to About, it will also take you there. Anyway, that's it for today, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.